Hello, America. It's Erick Erickson. These are the four things you need to know this afternoon. It is October 29th, which means we're on the 29th day of the government shutdown, the government having shut down October 1st. Well, as it's continuing to be prolonged, we're headed to the SNAP deadline for SNAP benefits are going to get cut. Welfare benefits across the country, Head Start benefits, but we're starting to see new stressors with the shutdown at airports. It's not just Los Angeles and New York now. There are a growing number of airports around the country that are having longer lines as TSA agents stop working because they're not getting paid. There are also growing numbers of air traffic controllers who are not showing up. Now, the solution that the government employs during these times is not to keep flying all the planes in the sky with reduced staff. It's to reduce the number of planes in the sky, which means there's actually growing delays in flights. So it's harder to get through airports. It's harder to get on planes. Planes are more likely to be canceled. This is all because of the government shutdown. Now, this is the prelude to what comes in just a few days as welfare benefits run out in the country, and moms in particular who rely on government benefits to buy food for their kids, not going to be able to buy the food because they won't get the money. And one of the weird and perverse ironies of the government shutdown, Social Security checks continue to go out, but the Social Security workers who are processing the checks are not getting paid. If those people stop showing up, well, there's no one there to push the buttons to auto-deposit the checks, and that hits senior citizens. That hasn't happened yet. The Republicans are doubling down on this now. They're saying they refuse to cut a deal with the Democrats, and the Democrats will have to reopen the government eventually. A growing number of Democrats in the House of Representatives who are moderate Democrats, including Gottheimer from New Jersey, are telling Democrats very vocally now in the Senate, pass the clean resolution, and then let's get on to business about the health care benefits. While all of this is happening, you should know UnitedHealthcare is saying it sees a surge in profitability for itself. Why? Because UnitedHealthcare has built an entire business on Obamacare subsidies. So it's the insurance companies that are actually making a lot of money off the subsidies that the government is paying, as opposed to the insurance companies lowering the rates themselves. More and more Republicans are starting to turn on the insurance companies, wondering why are we paying for them to get so wealthy? AARP itself is making billions off of UnitedHealthcare's Medicare plans related to Obamacare. And Republicans are looking at that as well, saying, isn't it funny? AARP is lobbying for these healthcare subsidies, making billions of dollars off the subsidies itself. The Federal Reserve has cut interest rates a quarter point. They're concerned about employment more than they are inflation. Inflation, the Federal Reserve notes, is at 3%. They'd prefer it to be at 2%, but they're flying blind on labor. And they're kind of qualifying this, saying that the labor markets look okay, but the underlying data does not. Target, Walmart, Amazon, General Motors, Home Depot, a lot of other companies suggesting they're about to start cutting back, and they're cutting at the corporate level. The white-collar jobs are being left. And a lot of speculation is that it's actual AI efficiencies that companies are gaining, allowing them to cut corporate jobs. But there are also warehousing jobs as well. UPS announcing cutbacks in labor as well. All of this is suggesting we're getting a flood of people losing jobs, but there are no jobs for them to go to. So the Fed has a dual mandate, which is largely incompatible, and yet they have it. They've got to maximize employment and minimize inflation. And they're putting their weight on the economic thumb of the employment more than inflation right now with these cuts. They're signaling as well another quarter point cut at the end of the year and probably one more next year. Interestingly enough, President Trump's latest nominee or appointee to the Federal Reserve, Stephen Mirren, he opposed the cut because he wanted a half-point cut, not a quarter-point cut. One of Joe Biden's appointees also opposed the cut. He wanted no cut. 10-2 vote, they cut a quarter of a point. President Trump and Xi Jinping are set to meet. The president has upended our relationship with China, probably so. I continue to be a critic of the generalized tariffs, but fairly supportive of the Chinese tariffs so we can wreck their economy. And there actually are new warning signs out of China. Their economy is not doing well at all. In fact, our economy is much more robust than the Chinese economy. Remember, in this country, we have private sector and public sector figures that we can use to check each other to make sure the numbers are honest. In China, private sector numbers are prohibited from public release. You have to rely on the government numbers, and even the Chinese government is now saying that their data is actually wrong and the economy is weaker than expected. That's a big warning sign for underlying economic problems in China. The Chinese need a deal with the United States. As a bit of fair play, they're going to buy some soybeans from American farmers. Normally, the Chinese put their orders in March. It's now the end of October. They're only just now doing it for crops. That's giving some relief to farmers. The president less likely to now subsidize American soybean farmers than he was before. But there are lots of problems in the relationship, and the Chinese are not honest brokers. They're communists. You can't trust the commies. And we need more people in this country to recognize the Chinese are enemies of ours. They are not trading partners, and we need to treat them as such. Lastly, the president has acknowledged what I told you was the case. He can't run for a third term. He said it on Air Force One on his way to South Korea. He said that he recognizes that the president of the United States under the 22nd Amendment only gets to serve 2 terms in office, and that's terrible because his poll numbers are so good, but that's what the document says. Now, it's not really about Donald Trump here. It's about the great freakout of people who hate Donald Trump, who have this idea that the Constitution is weaker than Donald Trump. The Constitution has prevailed yet again, and I think that's the important thing for you to understand here. The Constitution has prevailed in this yet again. The Constitution is stronger than any one person, and it's stronger than groups of people in this country as well. And the people who hate Donald Trump just have forgotten how strong our constitutional system is. Does this sometimes have problems? Yes. And gridlock is a feature, not a bug of the system. And gridlock frustrates people. But the system, yet again, prevails. And it's a good system, the best on the planet. God bless America. I'm Erick Erickson. These are the 4 things you need to know this afternoon. Please stay informed, stay engaged, and please keep the faith.